And we are at 26:1. Like snow in summer or rain in harvest, honor is not fitting for a fool. Well, snow in the summer doesn't belong. There's a purpose to summer, and it's a time when there's warmth and heat, and the plants can continue their growth until you reach the harvest. And they can serve their purpose of showing the beauty of God, and we as people can go out and enjoy the summer. The same, rain and harvest, what does that do? Well, the rain was meant to grow the crops, and then in harvest time, the rain stops so you can get into the field and get the crops out. They're dry, they're ready to be stored or to be, processed in whatever way. So both of these take the purpose away from what is. Well, honor has a purpose. Honor is so that people can look at someone and say, this is a person who has shown love to God and shown love to others. And so this is a person we would like to model ourselves upon. It's a person we'd like to hold up as a paragon to our children so they can learn similar behaviors. And this is a person whom we'd like to reward. And so we honor them. And in the process, they become esteemed and they receive gifts. Well, a fool, someone who is seeking death and encouraging death in others, you don't want to hold them up as a paragon to your children. They don't deserve gifts, and if they receive gifts, it's going to keep them in their foolishness rather than driving them from their foolishness. And they certainly don't want to be told that God is pleased with their behavior. So honor does not match a fool. That leads to destruction. Let's go to 2. Like a fluttering sparrow or a darting swallow, an undeserved curse does not come to rest. Well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? God is often called upon to deliver curses. And in the second commandment, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, we're told not to curse or swear by God's name. Okay, this is when it's false, when it's against the will of God. Leave the vengeance to God anyway. But an undeserved curse, God's not going to, well, Lord, damn him. Okay, first of all, you probably misused that word in that you probably weren't really thinking of God. But second of all, God's the one who chooses who to damn, not you. And certainly if it's not deserved that he be damned, God is not going to damn whatever the target of that curse is. Okay? So an undeserved curse does not hit, is what it's saying. We can rely upon God to do what is just and right when it comes to his wrath. Moving on to 3. A whip for the horse, a halter for the donkey, and a rod for the backs of fools. So, do you whip a horse to cause it injury? The answer should be no. Sometimes a horse, evidently, I'm not a big horse guy, but needs some motivation. And the idea of the whip, I think of the quirts in racing where they have the little, is to get it a little more effort out of the horse. Sometimes the whip is used to steer the horse. I know an old Spaniard in Florida, they were called crackers because they'd crack a whip and that would drive the cattle, the sound of the whip crack. I don't think that's what's meant here, but it's meant it drives the horse into more activity or it changes the horse's behavior. The same again goes with the halter, right? The donkey is going to go where the halter tells him to, because otherwise the donkey may wander somewhere he shouldn't, which could cause damage both to your property or to the donkey. The same comes with a rod. This is talking about spankings. This is talking from a more, government level, perhaps about actual beatings. But a rod, a beating, keeps people from doing foolishness. So I once had a son who decided he was going to dash into traffic, and we snatched him before he did, and he got a spanking. Now, why did I do that? Because I love my son, and I need to redirect him away from traffic into the safe ways. And he was a little kid. I don't like spanking little kids, but sometimes the spanking sends a signal up here, and the signal says, don't do that bad thing, don't do that dangerous thing, and protects them from becoming fools, or maybe changes them from being fools. A fool seeks death, running into traffic is seeking death, and changes into someone who seeks life. Okay? Moving on to 4. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you will be like him yourself. And then verse 5. Answer a fool according to his folly, or he will be wise in his own eyes. Kind of fun. You should, read those on your own again, right? Do not answer a fool according to his folly. Answer a fool according to his folly. Do these contradict? Well, let's look at the first one. See what it says. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you will be like him yourself. I like to tell people that in argumentation, if you have the assumptions, if you're the one who bases the argument, then you're going to win the argument. And often the assumptions are foolish. Now listen to a reporter ask a question. If they ask a paragraph before the question, it's probably a bad question, because if you answer it, you're saying what the paragraph said before it is true, in a sense. So when you answer a fool according to his folly, when you enter into with him the ideas that he has, which produce his fallacious arguments and his ideas which lead to death. So if, for instance, you say, well, a woman who stays home and with children has demeaned all of womankind. And then you answer them according to their folly, that there is any way that a woman staying home is demeaning, or that this is about the subjugation caused by men of women. If you answer according to that, then you enter into the folly of the fool. And as wise as everything that you're thinking might be, it can't be wise, because you've started out with that basic foolishness. That a woman taking care of children is in any way a demeaning thing, and not one of the most glorious and wondrous both gifts to humanity, but also glorious and wonderful things that a person can do, right? And that a husband whose wife stays home, the husband has necessarily tried to subject said woman. Okay? That's not the argument. If a woman wishes to work, that can be a wonderful blessing, but if she wishes to stay home with children, that is certainly a beautiful and wonderful thing. And both things should be celebrated. So you don't want to start with the fool's assumption that somehow the purpose of women is to become like men and to overcome the subjugation of all that God has set up in the patriarchy, right? When you start talking the patriarchy, you've already entered into the assumptions of the fool. God doesn't set up a patriarchy. He sets up a marriage, and a marriage where the two serve one another, and a marriage where they seek what is best for the other and for their children, and in the process, they show love and grow life. So, don't enter into a fool's assumptions, because then you're going to be a fool. The assumptions make you necessarily a fool. The second part, though, 5, answer a fool according to his folly, or he will be wise in his own eyes. So the law, you've got to let them know that their assumptions, just as I was talking about, are wrong. Okay? Many of the assumptions of feminism were wrong. There was good which needed to be done, where many of the assumptions of the society before, that being the head of the household meant subjugating your wife, making her less than what she was, limiting her ability to do her vocation, making her into a slave. Those were wrong. But simultaneously, the assumptions of feminism that a woman is demeaned when she serves her husband and her kids, that a woman is demeaned when she does domestic activities, that a woman must somehow become like men. Those are also wrong. And so we leave the fool in their false assumptions, which leads to death and horrible, present life. We're not showing love to them. So we come and we say, no, your assumptions are wrong. No, a woman who bears children and loves them enough to stay home and care for them, that's the vocation God has given her. That's a beautiful blessing. And a woman who goes into the workforce and helps out with various different functions of the work, that's a beautiful blessing too. And neither woman is better necessarily than the other or doing a greater service. They're doing the vocation given them by God where they love their neighbor and themselves. And the husband and the wife who serve one another, they do it in different ways in different families. And to put upon them that women must be like men, that's absolutely atrocious. They've been given blessings men can't do. I can't bear children. It's impossible. And to say that a woman should be like me, well, there's a few women who are 6 foot and 220 pounds, but not many. And women have different hormones and their body develops differently. They shouldn't be like me. They should be like them, beautiful children of God who have been blessed. So we challenge the basic assumption that the creation of God and the plan of God is not a good one, and that the creation of God and the plan of God leads to evil and to death. Rather, we come and we say to the fool, no, God's plan was that there be men and women, and that we fulfill different roles in each other's lives, and that we gather together and serve one another, and that in the process, new life is begun. I'm going to stop there, and we will continue on next time with verse 6 of 26.